Greetings. This is General CJG here, bringing you a unique video that's about a previous topic we discussed in State of Star Wars last year when we covered the Bad Batch. So, when we were recording the Kenobi Episodes 1 and 2 discussion podcast several days ago, there was one point towards the near end of the video that Henson went into a new canon continuity rant, and that rant ended up being cut from the final video. However, we kept that rant in order to release it as part of this video, alongside having me and Luke discuss our stances on Disney Star Wars' continuity in the second half of the video. Enjoy!
Now, could this happen? Could they have their duel on Tatooine? Yes, they could. But until I have, an actual reason to be scared... And then again, everything I just said was fucking pointless, because I don't fucking care about this canon. And neither should you.
Well, I guess there is that.
If they do fight on Tatooine, tell me, seriously, if these two fight on Tatooine, what would that really do? Why would you be bothered when you don't have the same investment you do as the EU? If you want these two to not meet on Tatooine, you already got the superior canon for that. If they meet on Tatooine here, whoop-de-fucking-do. We still got the sequel trilogy to look forward to, so it's not like it really matters. None of it matters in the end.
May me in general... Henson, may me in general please explain why we have our reservations about this, then?
Well, we're basically not in the absolute same mindset of Henson of absolutely considering this canon as nothing but a joke at this point from a plot and continuity standpoint. There is some small bit of it there, but though Henson does have a good point, yeah. At this point, if you just want to see the Disney Star Wars for funsies or just as a distraction, then you can do that. So he's not really wrong.
Like I said, I went into this show wanting to see the prequel actors doing stuff. And I'm getting that. I'm getting Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen on screen. That's all I care about. Any continuity, the story itself, I will say I am invested. I'm genuinely invested in the story so far. But even if there are continuity errors, why should I care? Got the EU. So
right.
If they fuck things up and have them play on Tatooine, I have no reason to be mad. You guys have no reason to be mad. Because if they don't fight on Tatooine, well, great. You still got, the entire sequel era, so the whole canon's already fucked. So, yay, they did this thing, but, again, the canon is still fucked, so why does it really matter?
Well, there are those couple people that do claim this is the superior canon over the EU.
Like I said, I have no reason to worry. I'm getting the prequel actors doing shit. That's all I care about. And if I doubt it's going to happen, but if we do see Obi-Wan and Vader fight on Tatooine, I have no reason to give a shit. My days of giving a shit at the new canon doing stuff I don't like are long gone. I mean, yeah, sure, I'll still get pissed off sometimes. I am still somewhat invested. That's why I'm still watching these shows and doing these podcasts. But it's what? Get all mad that a canon I don't particularly care about is doing something that's dumb? That sounds really fucking stupid if you ask me. Waste of time, I say. I got the fucking EU. And there is so much of it, in fact, that you can get lost in it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
I mean, okay, this probably isn't the most related thing, but I think it is kind of worth bringing up, given the apathy on display here. Because, Henson, with all due respect, it wasn't that long ago that you once said that Lucasfilm should be held accountable for keeping as tight a continuity as possible, and that the fan base should call attention to it if mistakes are made. So why the change in mentality?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious.
He gave up.
Well, not that I gave up. More so the fact that I've accepted the reality. And, like I said, and I've said many times on this channel, the EU is my canon. And of course, it took me a while to finally just say, okay, I'm just going to focus on the EU more than the new canon. And so now I've reached a point where if the new canon does something I don't like, which is a lot, why should I be bothered by it anymore? I don't care about this canon. I've went on many rants about the shit that I hated about Disney Lucasfilm in regards to the new canon. But again, I have the EU. And no matter what the new canon does, even if they turn around, they get their shit together, the books, comics, games matter, tight continuity, shit actually happens, that's only gonna go so far for me. It's not gonna change the past, a little under 10 years of having nothing stories, shitty continuity, and just not having anything really to get excited about, to dive into this new canon outside of the books and shows. I fucking hate the sequel era. That era is gonna be made entirely on patchwork and trying to fix shit caused by the 3 sequel films. And again, I don't like that era on principle. Return to the status quo, nothing really happening, all that. So again, even if Lucasfilm fixes the canon, i.e., actually start doing shit about maintaining continuity, having important stuff happen outside of the movies and shows, it's not going to change the fact that on a base level, fundamentally speaking, this canon is flawed. It will forever be flawed. There is no fixing it. And why should I be so invested in a canon that I am not as keen on as the EU? I have the EU as my canon, and I'm content. Why waste time being hot and bothered by the new canon then? I've made my peace. I've said what I wanted to say. There is no fixing things. We can try, and even if we do turn things around, it's not going to change the past. It's not going to change the broken foundation this canon is built on, even going as far back as TCW. So, with all that said, yeah, I opened my eyes. I grew up. Or maybe that's bad wording, but hopefully you get my point. We all prefer the EU over the new canon, and I'd say that is fair. We like the EU. We always will prefer the EU. We think it's the superior canon. We have many reasons to justify that statement. So, if the new canon does something stupid, well, call the presses. New things. New canon does something stupid. Well, I haven't seen that before. The point is, there's no point in being hot and bothered anymore. I continue watching the shows and movies because I still have some investment in modern Star Wars. But the thing is, I don't have enough investment to read the books and comics anymore. And I never had interest in playing games, but then again, that goes into a topic of my opinions on modern gaming in general.
That's another one for another day.
The thing is, I am invested in Star Wars partially because I love the universe. I want to dive into this universe. That's what the EU gives me. I want to dive into that universe. I have no fucking desire to dive into the universe of the new canon. I did before. I tried being invested in it, and guess what? I petered out. I discovered that the EU is just so much better. So, that's where I am now. Going through the motions, watching the shows because of some tiny investment, and get to see some cool stuff. Did the EU ever give us the prequel actors after episode 3? Only sometimes with Tamora Morrison, but otherwise, no. Never got to see Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen again. And now I'm getting that chance because of the new canon. That's where my investment is at. Just seeing things that I was either never going to see in the EU, or just stuff that I find to be at least somewhat interesting. So there.
Okay, guys, the following is a bit of an interjection. The night following the recording of this podcast, me and Luke sat down and had a discussion on why we care about Disney Star Wars' continuity, regardless of how messy it is. So, enjoy. So, Luke, I've been wondering, since we had Henson pretty much do his own reasoning as for why he doesn't care about the Star Wars continuity anymore, I thought that maybe you and I should say our own reasons on this, and I'll start with mine. So mine is basically that Well, there has to be somebody to pretty much keep an eye on how the continuity on Disney Star Wars works. Because if the whole Star Wars fandom gets complacent about it, then Disney gets complacent with it and they continue releasing all sorts of mediocre to bad content. And that's the only Star Wars content we'll be getting in the next foreseeable future. And some of those mediocre to bad content pretty much has all sorts of EU elements that are just being copy and pasted from the EU timeline to the new timeline, or as some call them, they're recanonizing those EU elements. And that's not really helping anybody. It's kind of a lose-lose situation for both the Disney Star Wars audience and the EU audience, because the Disney Star Wars audience gets mediocre to bad content, and the EU audience will never get any new EU content or any new stories or anything other than just seeing all sorts of reprints of old stuff and seeing elements of the expanding universe pretty much just put into Disney Star Wars timeline. So neither fan base is satisfied here. It's like a stalemate. And no matter how hard the EU audience tries to tell Disney to give us new content through social media posts, videos, billboards, or anything like that, they just won't listen, especially if the majority of Star Wars fandom is just pretty much just consuming whatever current Star Wars content we get, like under the Disney Star Wars timeline. Like a good chunk of them, they don't seem to really know much of the difference between one timeline and the other one, and definitely could work if there was more new EU content released. It could actually alleviate that, but especially with good marketing and stuff, just as we've seen with several expanding universe sources that we've gotten since 2014. Yeah, we actually gotten some EU content post April 2014. Obviously, the Star Wars Marvel 108, that's the most obvious one. There's the SWTOR expansions, and we also had Fantasy Flight Games' last book, where they actually gave us some new EU lore in 2015, Force and Destiny. And most recently, we're getting Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Switch port made by Aspyr, where not only are they porting the game, but they're even going as far as giving us the restored content. The one from all the missing content that the original version never had. And for those familiar, the restored content mod is pretty much basically it's a mod that the modding community of KOTOR 2 have pretty much managed to reassemble and managed to add to the game. Right now, it's not official because it's never been officially released under Lucasfilm until now, when this Switchboard releases and Aspyr actually gives us that DLC content. So yeah, basically we're actually getting new added lore to the EU. So, which is awesome. And definitely, for as little as we're getting, at least we're getting something. But in order for us to get more, we'll pretty much have to keep an eye on what Disney is doing and pretty much keep them in check in order for everybody to pretty much be satisfied. The Disney audience can get their good content and not just mediocre bad content that recanonizes EU elements, and the EU audience can get their new EU stories. So that's basically how it should be in my end. So, and that's pretty much what I gotta say on this. So, Luke, now it's your turn.
Okay, so the reasons for why I care about the new canon having quality content produced for it and keeping a tight continuity, even though I don't consume very much of the new canon stuff, is well, first and foremost, Lucasfilm, over the past 8 years since Disney took control of the Star Wars IP, obviously they rebooted the canon and have said, okay, all this stuff coming out now, this is the canon. However, I think, that we here at SOSW have made it pretty damn clear that the new canon is not being treated anywhere near as meticulously as it should be, both from a general quality standpoint and especially not from a continuity standpoint. We've got 2 hour-plus length videos discussing those matters if you want to check them out. Funnily enough, even though Henson has made it clear now that he doesn't particularly care about the literal integrity of the new canon at this point. I'm actually going to word for word here reference something he said in the first new canon continuity rant video that SOSW made, which was that Lucasfilm should be held accountable for when continuity mistakes are made. You know, as already said, this is the content that's being approved as canon, yet a lot of it across the board, whether it be, I don't know, TV shows perhaps contradicting details from the films, or comics and novels, be it within their respective mediums or going cross-medium, retconning details left, right, and centre. And of course, the TV shows have also treated the comics and the novels like that in the past. I mean, it's not a good look, is it, General, to start fresh with a new continuity and then let it get out of hand like this, is it?
No, and it's even worse when you consider that they at first said that, oh, we have all this creative freedom, we're going to take advantage of it, only to pretty much just copy and paste elements from the previous Star Wars timeline to their own, basically being hypocrites.
Yeah. And another thing as well is that even if you put the continuity issues aside and just look purely at the general quality of a lot of the stuff we've been given over the past 8 years, since 2014, a lot of that content, like I would probably go so far as to say 90 to 95% of the content we've received since the canon reboot has been mediocre at best to absolute trash at worst.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can only think of maybe 4 or 5 notable exceptions. Things like The Mandalorian, The Bad Batch, Jedi Fallen Order, Squadrons, and speaking strictly within the context of the current canon, TCW Season 7, maybe. Like, apart from those, the vast majority of the new canon has been really pretty mediocre, wouldn't you say, General?
I'd say, yeah, for the most part, yeah.
And even the stuff from the new canon that has been really good, which does include the media that I just name dropped, even some of that is still quite a way off from the media that we received in the old expanded universe in terms of quality. Like I can't think of very much from the new canon at all that would stand shoulder to shoulder with any of the best parts of the old EU. And I'm actually just going to end my piece on this by asking a question to the hardcore new canon fans, but I'm actually just going to give a bit of context for this, and I promise you there is a point to this. A lot of people who watch us may know who the Finalysis guys are. They used to go by the name the Council Forcecast. So that's Grey Jedi 91, Jen Sarai 1, Evan Nova 95, Antoine Vandelay, and Reti 4, who are very well known Star Wars Versus video creators. And way back in 2015, the TCW tie-in novel Dark Disciple came out, and in one of their oldest collaborative videos at this point, the Council Forcecast did a review of that book, and I believe it was Jen Sarai in that video who outright said to the hardcore new canon fans something along the lines of, guys, why do you just accept this? You are Star Wars fans like us. Even if you're not into the same Star Wars media that we are, you are still Star Wars fans at the end of the day, and you deserve far better than what you're being given. You don't have to accept this for what it is. It was something to that effect. And I mean this as a completely sincere and open question to any new canon fans that might be watching this. When looking at the media that has been made canon since Disney took control of the franchise, if you enjoy it, then all the power to you. Though, I genuinely wish to know, why do you think that, with the greatest of respects to the material you like, that this sea of mediocrity, and along which has had the odd gold coin tossed in here or there, is acceptable? Like, why do you think this is okay? Why do you think this is okay, and that you don't feel the desire to see the new canon get any better?
That's a question that you guys should consider. Now, we already know why the Disney Star Wars shills do it. It's because, of course, they're being paid to pretty much not say anything bad. But what about the people that are not shills, the ones that are just fans or fanboys?
Yeah, and this is something that should, a couple of other things that should be highlighted as well, actually, is that in regards to the expanded universe front, all that we've had for expanded universe stuff, as in classic EU, since Disney decanonized it, is literally recycling the pre-2014 expanded universe media, literally under a different label, and we're now going through like a second phase of recycling with that content, because old expanded universe books are now being reprinted under what's called the Essential Legends Collection label, with like redesigned covers and having a banner that's more fluidly integrated into the design of the cover art, rather than just being slapped over the top of the original cover art. But again, it's literally just another phase of recycling the EU media that we've already had, rather than giving us new stuff, as General said before. And another thing that should be mentioned is that a lot of big name Star Wars YouTubers who you come across these days, and admittedly there are shills included there, have big followings, and as a result they've got a lot of influence with kind of what's deemed quality and what's not deemed quality. But yeah, the question that I threw out there to any new canon fans that might be watching this, that is meant purely for the people who genuinely pay, who really do pay to support this timeline out of their own pocket, and don't bow down to what the corporations say for the sake of a financial kickbacks or sponsorship agreements, things like that. Why do you think that a lot of the mediocrity that you've been given over the past 8 years is acceptable? All of us as Star Wars fans deserve better than what we're being given, and Lucasfilm really need to sort themselves out, because at the moment the new canon is hanging by a thread, and if they don't take action to sort it out soon, there's not really going to be anything left, is there?
Not really. Is that all your reason, Luke?
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, we do deserve better, and I think we should hear from the new canon fans who genuinely like this stuff as to why they think it's okay.
Okay. Well, yep. So that's Luke's reason. As for mine, well, as I already said before, if Disney gets complacent with doing the mediocre content that they've been doing, and especially recanonizing EU elements, then both the Disney Star Wars audience and the EU audience lose. Everyone loses. So that's the last thing I'm going to leave you guys. And so this is pretty much it for this State of Star Wars video. So next time we'll be tackling the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So that's pretty much it here. So we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars video. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.